So today I'm going to talk about what I believe is the key to self-development and self-growth. And obviously, if you've read the title, you know what I'm going to say, and that's consistency. All right, so staying consistent is it. It is the key to self-growth and self-mastery. So why is consistency so important? Well, I mean, to start, you have to look at how results are created. So when someone wants to do something, right? When someone wants to, let's say, start a business, okay? What they'll have to do is sit down, come up with a project, a task, whatever has to be done in order to initiate this business being started, okay? So I'm just going to use YouTube because this is the one I know best. So if I wanted to start a YouTube channel, what's the work I have to do? Well, I have to create a video. So then I would have to write a script and then create the video. Let's say I do that one time. Am I a YouTuber now? No, of course not. If let's say I do this 3 times, am I a YouTuber? Do I have a successful business, a successful channel? No. Let's say I do this 30 times. Let's say I sit down 30 different times on 30 different occasions, write out a script, make a video, and upload it. By that point, I may not be a YouTuber. I may not have had a perfectly successful business yet, but I'm starting to get it, right? I'm starting to understand how this shit works. I'm starting to gain some more traction. More people are interested in what I'm saying because I'm saying it better, because I've developed the skill over time. Okay, let's say I do this again for another 60 videos. Well, by that point, I would actually probably be considered a YouTuber. I would be pretty good at making videos, and I would have a decent following, right? Because I've been uploading consistently every single day, one after another. And by doing that, developed the skill over time, right? Making 90 YouTube videos would probably take like 6 months. So I only got the result because I did the action repeatedly. But as we saw, if I did the action just one time, or even 3 times, or even 30 times, I didn't actually see the result I wanted. But the same action got me the result exponentially at the end of the process. Why? Because I did the same action repeatedly, over and over and over again. And what this does is in this example, it's going to build your skills. So the more you do it, the more skill you have, and the better you get at it, the better quality of video you can produce, and so therefore the more people are going to be interested. The other thing, this is for the TikTok algorithm, but it works with anything. So if you upload one video, TikTok is not going to put your videos out. Or sorry. YouTube is not going to put your videos out. So if you are just doing the thing one time or 3 times, whatever, if you're doing it and then stopping, right? You started and then stopped. You didn't stay consistent. For YouTube's case, it doesn't matter how good the video is. Your videos aren't going to be put out if you've only uploaded one. So the more you upload, the more you show YouTube that you are actually interested in becoming a creator, and the more you actually put forth the effort and put forth the videos for YouTube to provide, eventually the algorithm will pick up on that and start to put your videos out, because you're uploading videos on a consistent and regular basis, and the number of videos is consistently going up. Whereas if you upload 3 videos and then stop, your videos aren't going to go anywhere. TikTok, YouTube is not going to push your videos out if you've only made 1 or 2, right? But it will start to push them out if you make 1 every week, if you upload consistently. And then, of course, there's the compound effect. So when it comes to building something that is of high value or of great value, if you want to become someone who is considered great, you have to do nothing special, right? I mean, certain things are definitely considered special. Certain habits would be considered special. Like certain things that I practice would be considered special to some people, but you don't have to do anything super special to become great. But you have to do that thing, whatever the thing is, you have to do that thing more than the other person. Or let's use a different example, not more than the other person, but you have to do that thing enough times to create the result. Doing it once, we discussed, won't create the result. But if you do it over and over and over and over and over again, eventually the result will start to manifest into reality. And if you maintain that consistency and that momentum, your growth and your results will look more like this than like this, right? But if you were to be consistent for a little while and then stop being consistent, your results will look more like this. They'll go up because you've been consistent. You stop being consistent here, okay? And now it's going to fall off. This is why I believe that a lack of consistency can actually breed complacency. So if you stop being consistent, if you are doing the habit, if you're going to the gym every single day and you finally see the result, you feel jacked, right? You feel amazing. You feel like you look incredible. And then you stop going to the gym, or you start eating out and you start eating desserts more often. What's going to happen? Obviously, your body's not going to just automatically change back. It took time for it to change from one state to this state, so it's going to take time again. But you become complacent in the sense that you are comfortable in the result, but then you stopped putting in the effort. And when that happens over time, you start to lose the result, and it becomes harder to get back into the flow of things. Anytime you fall off, or you get stuck, or you feel like you are losing momentum, right? This is due to a lack of consistency, typically. Now, I can't say this 100%, but this is typically going to be due to a lack of consistency. And consistency doesn't just mean doing the work, right? You can be, let's say you are working all day and you are work. That, in my opinion, can be a lack of consistency simply because you are, over time, going to diminish in the quality of the work that you can produce because you are working constantly. And I mean like actually overworking, right? So your quality, the quality of what you produce will go down, and that will lead to a lack of consistency in your business because you will have a lack of consistent quality in your product or whatever you are creating. So like, let's say, again, YouTube videos is the most direct one. If I'm in a negative state because I'm overworking, the quality of these videos won't be as good, right? The quality of these videos would probably be kind of shit because I would be tired and lethargic and I wouldn't really want to be talking, but I'm still here talking. And it wouldn't seem interesting. You wouldn't be engaged in me or what I'm saying if I had such a low, kind of energy, right? But because I have this higher energetic state, even though I tend to talk very calm and relaxed, I still have a lot of energy behind my words, and that keeps people engaged, right? I only have this energy because I consistently do the habits that raise my energy. So I don't work 8 hours a day. I work for like 2 or 3, 4 hours, and then I go and I meditate, and I go and I do breath work, and I go outside in nature and I play sports, right? I go out and I actually do things, and I'm active, and I'm like letting myself just be a human being and be happy, right? And because of that, when I wake up the next day, ready to sit down and record some videos, I feel great. I love it, right? I just get into an effortless flow state and I just talk. I just speak about whatever comes up or whatever's on my notes, because I do 2 types of videos. All right, so I've already sort of introduced it, but I'm going to quickly talk about the power of staying consistent. And one of the main reasons why consistency is so important is because of momentum and building momentum. Not only building, but actually maintaining momentum. So as I mentioned earlier with the business example, where you build momentum, you may make a lot of money very quickly, and then all of a sudden you stopped being consistent, right? And so you've stopped seeing the result consistently come in. This is because of your lack of consistency. And the result in the first place came as a result of momentum, because you had gotten the ball rolling and you had kept it moving at full speed until it hit the target. Now, because you've hit your target, you get comfortable and you stop and you settle, and then you become complacent, like I mentioned, and then you lose your momentum. But if you don't become overwhelmed by the result, so like let's say with the business example, you don't become overwhelmed by the money, but you actually become almost still, almost unmoved by the result, and you stay consistent just as you had before the result, that's when you will start to see what I'm talking about as far as exponential growth. So you'll go from 10K a month to 100,000 to 1 million very, very quickly, because you have this level of consistency and momentum that you've built up over years and years and years and haven't stopped, right? So a lot of people, they build this momentum and then they stop as soon as they get the result, right? So if you don't stop and you keep the momentum going, the result continues to funnel in, but in bigger and larger amounts, right? So money's the best example, because it's a physical thing we can see and touch with our eyes and hands. So it's a very easy example for people to understand, right? So if you put in the work and you're continuously doing the necessary work and you're building that momentum and you keep that momentum going, the money will come in, but you will start to make more and more and more and more money over time, right? And again, some people do this and they start making more and more and more money, and then eventually they start to get comfortable. Oh, this is too much money. And then they fall off and they stop. So another reason why I advocate for consistency so much, though, is because of creating new habits is all about repetition and consistency. So when you want to, let's use the athlete example. Let's say you want to become an athlete. Let's say you want to be a soccer player. Your daily habit that you're going to have to do, one of the daily habits that you're going to have to do, I'll name 3 right now. So stretching, training, and diet. So you're going to need to habitually be eating healthy, whole foods that are going to keep you energized, right? You need to be daily training for your sport, and then daily stretching and recovery for your muscles to make sure that your body is prepared for the next training session. So if you are not someone who does these things at all, it's going to be pretty hard for you to do it just once. And if you do it just once, it might feel like a big accomplishment. But as we mentioned, that doesn't really do anything, right? You don't really get anywhere or do anything from one action. So you need to be able to do this on a day-to-day basis. You need to create a new habit, right? And the best way to create the new habit is going to be repetition. It's going to be consistently going out there and doing it. And over time, as you do that more and more, It becomes easy and effortless almost. So now I'm just going to quickly talk about resistance really quick. So why do you feel like skipping? Why do you feel like giving up today instead of the last 3 weeks you've been consistent? Why is it that today is the day that you have this struggle? So one of the main reasons for that is going to be the fact that resistance, this feeling of not wanting to do something, resistance is going to come right before, or it's going to be a sign of your being about to break through. So if you are moving out of the old self and into the new self, right, and you've been consistently doing the habits that will bring you to that new self, you will start to feel resistance at a certain point as essentially a test to see if you will stay true to the new self. It's essentially a test to see if you're ready to actually break through and become the new self that you've been working towards, or if you're still just talking, if you're still just bullshitting, right? And so this resistance comes as a test. A lot of people who practice semen retention will often talk about right before it became easy for them, they had a very big urge and a very large feeling of resistance and wanting to give up and give in, right? That is a sign that they're about to break through into rewiring themselves out of lust, right? But if they give in to that in that moment, they're returning back to their old selves, because it is their old self calling and begging and asking you to come back to it. And when you give in to that, you essentially return back to the old self. This can be used in other self-improvement examples. So if you're trying to become an athlete and start going to the gym and training and whatever, and you just get this resistance, you just don't want to train today, you want to eat bullshit. Okay, well, I was interrupted. It's fine, but I forgot where I was, so I'm just gonna start over. Not completely, because I explained a lot there, but I'm going to essentially just wrap it up. So, when you're creating new habits and you're developing this new sense of self and this new person, eventually there will come a point when you feel this intense resistance, this intense desire to stop, to give up, this feeling of almost dread when it comes to continuing. That is your sign that you're about to break through, right? That is your sign that you are on the edge of redemption. And the way to overcome this desire to opt out of who you've been trying to become, is simply by reminding yourself why, right? Remind yourself why, and remind yourself what exactly. So a lot of people, they get to this point, you go to the gym and you're just not feeling it today. Your mind is just completely against going into the gym. When you are in this moment, you think about, why the fuck am I even at the gym, right? It's because this is the person I'm trying to develop. This is the person I want to become. This is who I see myself as. And so therefore, there's no reason for me to do anything else. There's no one else for me to be. Correct? And so you remind yourself of this one thing, that this is the only person you have to be, unless you are to go back to being nothing, nobody. It almost becomes like there isn't another option. Even if there is, even if in your mind you can think of other things to do, when you remind yourself that this is the person that I am, and this is the thing that that person does, it feels very, very hard to then leave and give up. Because you've reminded yourself of who it is you want to become and what that person would do, right? And you know that person, that version of you, would look down on you for leaving right now. So instead of leaving the gym, you get over the resistance and go in. And you might still feel the resistance in the gym, but you're in the gym. You're working, so it doesn't matter, because you are overcoming that resistance by feeling the resistance and still doing the thing. now I'm just going to give you some of my tips and my methods for staying consistent. Basically what I use to be consistent on all of my habits. And the first one, the big one, is the habit tracker. So I'm going to grab my phone really quick. The habit tracker is probably the biggest thing that I have when it comes to actually being consistent on things. So I'm just going to show you really quick. That's it. So today I woke up a little late, so I didn't check off my wake up. But yeah, so you can see I got my morning routine, my journaling and stuff. And then right now I got my hour of work. And then it's just my training, my breath work, all of that stuff. So I don't really have to think about any of that throughout the day. I just kind of check it off as I go now. But for a while, it was hard for me to remember the tasks that I was supposed to be doing. So having them written down on a regular basis made it very, very easy. So this is my my monk mode structure right here. So I write out my goals, I write out the non-negotiables, so the daily habits, and then I turn that into a checklist. So that makes it easy for me to look at, okay, what do I have to do today? What do I have left? And what have I checked off, etc. And then at the end of every day, I can look back and be like, all right, what did I do? What didn't I do? What did I accomplish? What did I miss? Right? And so that's it's huge for me, because when it comes to building consistency on something you haven't done before, constant reminders are necessary, right? Constantly reminding yourself of what you need to be doing is going to be important. Until you've made it a routine and you've made it just what you do, it's going to be difficult, right? It's going to be difficult for you to remember the task, remember to do it. And if you are constantly reminded of it, it makes it easier when the time comes. It's going to be counterproductive if you are constantly thinking and overthinking about what you're doing, but having constant reminders isn't going to harm your process in any way, and it should in fact make it easier to do once you actually come to do it. So the next thing is going to be, when you're becoming consistent on a new habit, it's typically going to align with an identity different from your current one. So let's say the stoner example with becoming an athlete. So a stoner who views himself as a stoner, who acts like a stoner, and then tries to act like an athlete, is always going to return back to the default of being a stoner, right? But an athlete who has become a stoner out of bad habits and just years of degeneration and destroying himself and his mind, but is still an athlete at heart, is going to have an easier time returning to being an athlete, because the stoner is the unnatural identity, right? Whereas the stoner becoming the athlete is the unnatural identity. And so a stoner trying to become an athlete is going to get to his training session and be like, fuck this, I don't want to today. I don't feel like it. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I want to go home and smoke up. He's going to give up early, right? He's going to not put in the effort because he doesn't see himself as that person. But the athlete who was a stoner for so long is going to get to that first training session and be like, ah, fuck, I don't feel like doing this. But I'm an athlete, right? It's what I do. So I'm just going to do it anyways. I'm going to try my best. I spent a long time smoking weed, but I still got it. And then he's going to train. He's going to put in the work anyways. And over time, because he views himself as an athlete, he's going to slowly move more and more into this lifestyle. Okay? So when you want to become consistent on anything, let's say it's a business, see yourself as an entrepreneur first. Don't wait until you're consistent with the habit to see yourself as the person. See yourself as the person in order to develop the habits. See yourself as that person first, create the internal state, and then bring it into the physical. So once you've aligned internally with the identity you want, it becomes almost effortless externally to start doing the work that you need to do, right? So, yeah. And then the last thing I have here is just a conscious intent to overcome the resistance. So a lot of people, when they set out to do something that they see as valuable, right? Let's say it's build a body. They are doing it to build the physique and have the result. They are not, however, always putting forth an intention, consciously putting forth the intention and the desire to overcome the resistance that they face, to overcome the feeling and the craving to go back to comfort and who they were before, right? So when you consciously set the intention to overcome this resistance, overcome this lower self in order to become better and become stronger, it becomes that much effortless and that much easier. I don't want to say effortless because it's not going to be effortless, but it becomes that much easier and natural for you to fight the resistance and eventually overcome that resistance, because you have consciously set forth the intention to become the person who is stronger, and that person had to overcome the resistance first. So you consciously set forth the intention to overcome that resistance, and so when it comes up, it's easier for you to just do what you need to do to move forward and keep moving and keep going. And that will make you a lot stronger. And therefore, the next time you feel the resistance, it won't feel as intense. It won't feel like such a heavy burden to you, right? So you'll be able to essentially move through the resistance easier and easier every time. Versus when you don't set this intention and you end up feeling the resistance, you almost instantly want to gravitate towards the comfortable thing, right? Because you don't have this conscious intent to overcome it. You have the conscious intent to live the ideal lifestyle that you want to live, but not to actually face the pain and discomfort and overcome that pain and discomfort. Actually, I'm not gonna, this isn't gonna be an exact quote, but somebody I heard talking a few months back, it was a while ago, but basically what he said was, you don't want to ask God for the money or the results. You want to ask God for the strength in order to overcome the difficulties that stand between you and that result. So instead of asking and hoping for the thing to come easily, start hoping and desiring the strength to overcome the difficulty, because it's not just going to magically become easier. In fact, it's going to start becoming harder because more and more people are starting to get on this path. So instead of asking to be given the result with no effort and be given the result easily, and for doing the thing to become and feel easy, instead ask for the strength to overcome what makes it feel hard. And yeah, so that's all I got for today. That's today's video. Yeah, so I hope you guys gathered something useful, helpful. But yeah, that's it for me. Peace out.